Hello, listeners. If you haven't liked, subscribed, or followed the Sounds of Living podcast accounts, you could find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Patreon at Sounds of Living Podcast. Any donation would be greatly appreciated to help support my journey of taking Sounds of Living around the United States. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to Sounds of Living. I'm your host today, Alex Kellerman, and I'm sitting here with my aunt, Christine Brandl.
Chrissy.
Well, I have to say your full name. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm here in Arizona, which I'm never in Arizona. I've been here twice in a couple months. It's a record, but it's all good. The weather is nice. It's not too hot.
Good. So Why don't you tell everybody just about our relationship?
Well, you're my nephew. The first grandchild, first nephew out of the nephews and nieces that I have. You were going to be a sign language interpreter and follow your auntie, but that changed. But that's okay. You still know sign language, so that's good. Yeah, I think we're pretty opposite, Alex. You just go by the seat of your pants, and I can't do that. It stresses me out. I have to have some sort of plan a little bit. And then if something goes awry on the way, then I have a backup plan because I think ahead. I'm that kind of person, but that's okay. I'm your aunt.
Yeah.
It's not like we go out and party.
That's true. That's true. So, Chrissy, why don't you tell everyone about how music has played a role in your life in general?
I do love music. I do like it, but I'm not one to follow a particular band or get excited if a new release comes out. I'm not going to wait in line to go buy it. I'm not that kind of person. I'm the type of person, if I hear something, no matter the genre, I'm going to go for it. I like it. I've listened to, I told you, Andrea Bocelli. He's an opera singer. I have a few country songs, although country is my least favorite. The country music in the 80s, when I was a kid, was more popular, like Garth Brooks and Reba McEntire and Brooks and Dunn and those guys. And I did like their music, but it became more rock and roll. And now it's not something I listen to all the time. However, that doesn't mean if I heard a country song and I liked it that I wouldn't listen to it because it's country, right? I don't care. I do have some pretty inappropriate rap songs on my phone that I like to get me fired up sometimes when I'm getting ready to work. I have the 80s music, some Chicago. I do not have any songs from Journey. You burned Journey out for me, Alex.
I'm sorry. It's a shame because they're such a wonderful band.
They are a wonderful band. They are. And there'll be days where I'm sure where a Journey song comes on and I'll be fine. Like the song that Paul did at our wedding, where he did a little striptease in front of everybody, was to a Journey song, right? So that will for always be a song that I will have in my memory when I hear that. That will come up. I really do like all genres, depending on the song. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. I don't really care about the genre. I don't really care about the band. If they come out with something new, I'm not going to expect to love every song. Queen is another, you know what I mean? I like a lot of Queen. But again, that was Paul. That was all Paul's influence. So I like music when I'm cleaning because it goes quicker. I like music when I'm driving, but not all the time. It just depends. I don't like interpreting music, which is completely opposite of you. I do not like interpreting music. When I first started interpreting, I was practicing.
What type of interpreter?
A sign language interpreter. I would go to this church to practice. And I always picked the music parts because at that time, interpreting the music was a little bit easier than interpreting the words because it was off the cuff. Not off the cuff, but the pastors or the priests would give their homily, is what they called it in the Catholic Church. And I didn't have access to that, so I couldn't study it, right? But the songs I could study, and usually the lines were very 4 or 5 lines, then the chorus you would repeat. So it wasn't hard to memorize. So the music was easier then because I could practice it and I could memorize it. But then as I became more skilled and another interpreter I worked with, I messed up and she had to jump in to help me. I just kept looking for the words in the book to follow. She goes, you got all caught up because you lost your place interpreting and all you have to do is listen to what they're saying. She goes, you don't need the words. You just need to listen to what they're saying. So when I started to do that, and I'm more conceptually accurate as an interpreter, a sign language interpreter, I realized when I was reading the music I'm like, this shit doesn't mean what these words are. It doesn't mean that. And it's sign language interpreting, depending on how you interpret, or the interpreter you are, or who you're interpreting for, I should say, you have to conceptually match what the message is. And church music is very hard to do that.
Because it's like up for your own interpretation?
It can be, and then if you're not familiar with everything that happened in the Bible or whatever, or if you're not familiar with the person who wrote the song, and it's not just church music, it can be any music, you're not going to know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
So now you have to listen to the church music or whatever, and you have to really study it in a way that you're not listening to the words and you're listening to the meaning. And that's harder to do than with anything anybody talks about. Music is hard to interpret because you could have a whole chorus that the words don't mean what they mean, and you have to really listen to what they're trying to say and understand the artist and understand why that song was wrote. And I honestly have no desire to put that amount of time in for a song.
Well, especially because, like, with your relationship with music already, it isn't, like, super deep. It's just, like, you enjoy it.
Yes.
So I understand why, like, it would be tedious to, like, go out of your way to, like, do the research, try to understand the artist, try to understand their intentions of, like, making the songs, making the album. Yeah, no, that does make sense on why it would be.
Well, and you want it as a sign language interpreter. It's not my message. It's not how I interpret the song.
Yeah.
However, sign language interpreting is a lot of making choices in a matter of seconds as best as you can, and it might not be necessarily what the deaf client would have chosen in the moment, but I don't have the luxury of being in that deaf person's mind to know what they want or what they prefer instead of what I put out there. So I want to be able to match the deaf client as much as I can and have no bias, my bias in there whatsoever, and just get the meaning of the message out there. So music makes that very hard for me.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't say I'm against. I mean, if something came up, it would have to be really good. It would have to be something really good, and the money would have to be really good, and they would have to really, like, give me flexibility on my prep time, because that's something that I would take very seriously, and I would use a lot of my time to prepare. I don't think I'd do a concert, maybe a musical. I don't know. So for me, you're right, music, it doesn't really play that important of a part in my life to where, as a sign language interpreter, I would put that extra effort into doing something that was related to music. But at home, it's a different story, you know, and I'm cleaning or whatever.
So then why don't we go back in time to where you first heard songs, like from your family,
right?
From your
Well,
parents?
that was, we were little. I want to say, so we moved from Oak Park when I was about 5, maybe a little before 5, because I think I turned 5 in Connecticut. So I don't really recall a lot of music in Oak Park. Something might come up later that might jog my memory, but not so much. It was Connecticut where I do remember Papa playing the music and I just liking it. It wasn't all music. Like what Bama said earlier, it was a few songs that they would put on and I would go crazy. So, and I think that's still consistent today. It's consistent throughout my life. If there's a song that I like, I just like it.
So you don't know why you like it, you just like it.
I just like it. I could like the beat. Usually it's the beat and the rhythm that gets me going at first. I'm like, ooh, I like that. And I haven't necessarily listened to the words. I can honestly say that that's the biggest thing for me. If I hear the beat and the rhythm, that's what catches me first. And then sometimes, depending on the song, sometimes I listen to the words and sometimes I don't. It depends on what the song does for me in the moment, right?
Yeah.
So it could have been the same when I was that little. It could have been where I just liked, that's what drew me.
Yeah.
Because my parents, and I think everybody would say that I was very consistent with those songs, which is what you know today, you know, Cecilia, Fox on the Run by Sweet, the Pete's Dragon stuff, Rhinestone Cowboy. Remember I told you I had just the song.
But they still, like, you know, played enough of a role for you to continue to play it today.
But I think it's because of how...
Like, those feelings didn't go away, did they?
The feelings didn't go away, but there wasn't many feelings. I just liked it. I just liked the beat and the rhythm, and I couldn't tell you why. Like, I knew the songs to Rhinestone Cowboy. I knew the words. And the Jackson 5 song that I sang a lot, and I don't remember. So you see, it couldn't have been that pivotal for me. I remember having the tape and playing it, but I don't remember the song that I knew. Cecilia I knew. I still know today, obviously. Rhinestone Cowboy. If Rhinestone Cowboy was playing, I could probably sing it. I knew the words. Pete's Dragon. I can't sing them without the music. Like, the words will come back to me once I start hearing it. But it's funny because as I got older, I feel like there weren't as many songs.
Gotcha.
I was exposed to more music as I got older, but there weren't as many songs that hit me in a way that I would listen to them and I would memorize the words.
And this was like towards the end of your childhood. Would you
Yeah,
would say,
getting into like, so high school there was more. There was a song that me, Jennifer, and Michelle and Shelley, those are my high school friends, who I'm still friends with, that we all just loved. And it was Bette Midler's song, The Rose. And I know the words to that song, but only if I start hearing it, right? I can follow it. I wouldn't be able to sing the words without the music. That was from the movie Beaches, and it was about friendship. That sticks with me. REO Speedwagon was something that all of us girls really enjoyed. We loved REO Speedwagon. Growing up in the house, it was Air Supply. Did you go to Air Supply with Papa?
No, because like every time that I was supposed to go, I wasn't of age.
Oh.
And they had their concerts at venues that you had to be 21 and up. So
if they come back around, which they probably will, you need to go because it really was a good concert.
Oh,
I mean, Papa
how can you not love Air Supply?
Right.
They're just, I mean, they're...
But that was the 80s, right?
Oh, yeah.
What is the... Hall & Oates was another one that I grew up with that Papa liked, I think. Is there something up there walking?
Maybe.
Interesting. It's probably a bird. I hope it's a bird. It sounded pretty big, didn't it?
Yeah. You're saying that like music has been like kind of just a part of your life, but
it was in the background.
Yeah, it was in the background.
It was in the background for sure.
But you weren't really like paying attention to it like super in depth.
No.
Gotcha.
No. I mean, I have moments where we had fun. Like I'd go to my high school dances and they had David Bowie's song. Oh, and that was the big thing. Everybody like, get laid, get... No, but that wasn't the words he said. But that's how we sang it, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I can't. Again, as you can see, it was always in the background. The music was always in the background, never in the forefront for me. And then when I met Paul and we went to the Rolling Stones concert, that's when I was like, oh, holy hell, this is fun.
Yeah.
Right? But I still had that same mentality. So after the Rolling Stones concert, Paul had all the music. I didn't find it necessary to steal his CD so I could listen to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because he would play it for you. Like, it was enough for you to, like, enjoy it.
So when Paul and I first got together, we worked a lot. So we weren't together all that much as far as, like, being home at the same time. Our schedules were tight, and I had 3 jobs, and he was working and going to school. So we were very busy. And when we had money and something came to town, then we would do it. And the Rolling Stones was the first one at Soldier Field, and it was very eye-opening.
How old were you when it happened?
23 or 24. Kind of sad, right? Like,
I mean, I don't think it's sad. It's like, I mean, think about how he grew up versus how you grew up.
Right.
You know, like you were saying earlier, how his brothers would constantly take him to shows. And, like, introduce him to all the music.
He was exposed to all different kinds of music because the age difference between him and his oldest brother was 16 years. So he had all those years of music that he was exposed to. Yeah, he knows a lot about music. We're almost 4 years apart. Let's see, he was born in 68, I was born in 72. So yeah, just a little over 4 years apart. And I am amazed at how much knowledge he has with music. And again, you know, like the Rolling Stones, I can't think of all their songs, obviously I can't, but the one song I really enjoy, what was it, Partridge, is Shattered. I love that song by the Stones. I absolutely love that song. But again, I know there's other songs by the Rolling Stones that I like, but I can't tell you what they are. If I heard it, I'd know. Mick Jagger has a very distinct voice, and I would be able to tell you, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what song it was. I mean, Paul and I will be driving, and a song will come up on the radio. I'm like, is that the Stones? He's like, no! You know, like,
yeah.
He would know. And then I think we did Kiss and Aerosmith, Prince. I was pregnant with Prince, Neil Diamond. I'm sure there's other concerts, and I just can't think of any, but...
It's funny that you, like, said that, how you would think that it would be one artist, but it wouldn't. That's exactly how, like, my mom and dad and I would be. Like, my mom would be like, oh, is this, you know, Hall & Oates, or is this Journey? And I'd be like, Mom, this is, like, a completely different band. You know, like, she goes, oh, well, it kind of sounds like it. I'm like, I don't know, but it's fun.
It's that same type of... I think those are birds.
Yeah.
What are they doing up there?
I don't know.
I'm not surprised that Tracy has the same, because Tracy didn't have, I mean, and neither, well, Murphy is probably more with the music than Tracy. But Tracy and I were kind of like the same way when it came to music. Like, we didn't have music blaring in our room. Papa had the music blaring in the house. We didn't. Tracy and I didn't do that. Murphy might have, I don't know if he liked a lot of Papa's music, so when Papa blared the music, he might have been okay with it. But yeah, so I can see your mom saying the same thing. You recognize the song, but I couldn't tell you who the hell sang it.
Gotcha.
Right? That happened a lot in the 80s because there was these bands that would come out all the time, and I can't even think of all of them. But
when Paul would like introduce you to music, would you get like those same feelings that you would get like whenever you like hear a song that you really enjoyed? Because like, would he be able to find them easier because he had a way bigger catalog that he can choose from?
I would say he would listen to what he liked, and then sometimes I'd be like, oh my God, turn this off, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'd be like, oh, I really like that. Lenny Kravitz is one. Lenny Kravitz is definitely on my bucket list. I like Lenny Kravitz, and so does Paul. I don't think he would be able to introduce me to something, let's say it's something he heard that I never liked. He wouldn't be able to, like food, he wouldn't be able to pick a song by somebody that he think I'd like.
Yeah.
Because I'm so different. I'm so across the board with what I like, and I'm not consistent with it either. So It could be a band that, you know, I like 2 of their songs, but I don't want anything else to do with any of their other music.
So it's just like anybody else, like if they be like playing their own stuff, you be able to find one thing every so often that you really enjoy.
It's possible, yes.
Okay.
Something happened with our cell phones where we were sharing our Apple account or something.
Yeah.
So quite a few of his songs ended up on my phone. Some of them I can't get rid of. But there's some that I really like. Godsmack. Okay, that's heavy metal. I'm not a big heavy metal person. However, I do like Metallica. That was a band that was in the 80s that was really popular. I don't like all of their songs. I like Enter Sandman, which everybody likes, right? Okay, so... But that's all I know. There might be other songs from Metallica that I would recognize, but that's the one song I like, right? So there's a few Godsmack songs that have come up that I like, but then he has this one song, it's from the 80s, and it's a band I've never heard of, and I freaking hate it. And every time I'm like, how do I get this song off my phone? Because I hate it. It's Saga, and I don't know. Oh, I hate it. I absolutely hate it, and he loves it. So yeah, I think that's funny. But Paul definitely introduced me to enjoying concerts, whether I like all the songs or not, because it's entertainment and it is fun.
So you had like a new form of enjoying music from meeting Paul. Okay.
Live music, yeah, absolutely. So there would be songs that, I don't know, Aerosmith sang that I wouldn't necessarily be a go-to or make sure I have on my phone, but I love it live. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's so inconsistent with following through with what you like, I think. But that's just how I am.
But, you know, I feel like it sounds like how you were telling me that you're very plan-oriented. You need to know what's going on before you make a decision. Like, it's funny because it sounds like you're kind of like the opposite with the music you listen to. You know, like,
I am.
You're like, go with the flow. I don't really care. And then, if something comes up, cool. Yeah.
And if I don't like it, I don't like it. So, yeah, maybe that's the release I have in not having control over every little aspect of my life.
So then it's almost like, since you don't know everything in depth, it makes the music more enjoyable because you don't have to assign whatever decision that you have to make to it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it allows me to really pick what I like. It gives me that flexibility. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I would agree with that.
So then later on, you, of course, have 2 kids, which are Alec and Addison.
Yep.
Like, did the music evolve with their upbringing and stuff? Or
it wasn't as much a part of their lives growing up as Papa made it a part of our lives growing up. I really played the music in the car. I tried to do that a lot because it was downtime. It was fun in the car when we didn't have a DVD player. And then when DVD players came around, we got the Honda Odyssey and they had headphones. So the kids could listen to their DVD and I could listen to my music. Those are very special moments. But I think they would have preferred it that way. I don't think they would have wanted to listen to the music that I listened to. However, they do love Neil Diamond. And I don't think I really played him. I mean, I don't have an album. I don't have a Neil Diamond album. I think Paul does on his phone that he downloaded or whatever, but I don't have it. You know, I have the songs that I like, but it's not all the songs. Like, I haven't gone out of my way to download every single song that Neil Diamond has written, whereas Murphy probably has, right? Yeah. I think Paul did. That's the one thing that I introduced to Paul musically that I don't think he had exposure to, and that was Neil Diamond.
And then you guys, as you would continue to listen to his music, decided to go to shows, right?
We started to go to a concert, but the first concert we went to, the kids already liked Neil Diamond. And I can't honestly tell you if it was something, obviously it wasn't something that I did on purpose to make sure the kids listened to Neil Diamond, right?
But it became like this family.
It became a family thing, and they loved him. They absolutely love him. I mean, both of the kids do.
I mean, it's hard not to. He's
amazing.
He's phenomenal.
He is.
And he's got music from the 60s to the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't listened to anything, past the 80s, but
right.
He was a part of everyone's lives at points, And, and you can't say that Sweet Caroline isn't at every single bar.
I know. Everybody knows it.
Everyone knows that
right?
song, yeah.
And I think that started for me when The Jazz Singer came out. His movie, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I would like to think that I would take the credit for that because I know Paul he's like, Neil Diamond. I'm like, give it a shot, you know?
Yeah.
And now he does love Neil Diamond, and he has more Neil Diamond songs on his phone than I do.
Well, I know Papa was a huge fan of Neil Diamond.
Oh.
We would grow up listening to his stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And he talked about it in his episode, I believe, too. And I think The Jazz Singer was the album that he would talk about the most growing up, I remember.
I did make him that one Christmas a couple CDs with all the songs that we liked, right?
Yeah.
And that was fun. But again, I remember those songs, but it meant more to him than it did to me. I enjoyed giving it to him, and I loved it because I knew it meant a lot to him. But if he were to make that for me, I'd be like, oh, right? It has more meaning to him than it did to me. I got more meaning in making those CDs for him with all the songs that we liked together and giving it to him and watching him enjoy listening to it.
But you don't have the same relationship that he does.
No. Yeah. So if he were to do it and give it to me, I'd be like, thanks. I mean, it would be nice.
Yeah.
But the meaning meant more for me to give it to him than for him to give it to me, I think. So, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I know that we touched on a lot of different areas where music has played a role in your life, but I think the one thing that I have a question about is now that you've been able to kind of understand your perspective a little bit more, do you think that you will try to go out of your way to listen to it differently than you have been, or do you think that you'll stay consistent with how you've been doing things?
You mean listening to different genres of music or listening to the words more?
It could be either way.
Either way,
yeah. I mean, if you think about it, you have your songs that you listen to, but
right.
you haven't gone outside of those too much, right?
No, not too much.
So do you plan on exploring?
I could listen to a different radio station sometimes I have the radio on, sometimes I have my phone on. I don't know, Alex. I could try for you.
I mean, it wouldn't be for me. This would just be for your own benefit. Because, I've been doing this and, recording with multiple different people. And
right.
It's just, what I found is that the music that you expose yourself to that you don't necessarily think you like in the first place, you learn to like it. You learn to understand it. You learn to grow from it. And, that could be as simple as just liking what it sounds like. Or it could be, liking what they say. You know what I mean?
I'm going to have to say no, I probably won't. Yeah. Only because I've been very happy with how I fall upon songs that I really like. And I don't go searching for anything. Now, that doesn't mean I might not listen to a different radio station every once in a while. But I've had the same preset radio stations for
So you
years.
Know what you're comfortable with.
I know what I'm comfortable with. And if a song comes up that I'm not familiar with, I can honestly tell you, I will instantly know if I like that song or not. Instantly. And I have not been wrong about that. So for an example, Yellowstone has a lot of country stuff in it, right? And one of the songs that came up was by Tim McGraw. And again, I don't know the name of the song, but I have it in my phone. I bought it immediately, and I love it. Another performer on there was Lainey Wilson. She's a new up-and-coming country singer, and she sings a song in the show called Watermelon Moonshine. And I liked those two songs based on the words, and not necessarily the sound.
Gotcha.
But I was forced to listen to the words because the closed captions were on, right? As a sign language interpreter, I always have the closed captions on. So I was reading the words and listening to the words because it was on a TV show. And I'm not going to change the TV show because I want to watch the TV show. Whereas with the radio, if it doesn't catch me right away, I'm changing it.
So, like, that's kind of cool to think about, too, is that there are songs that come into your life in the weirdest ways, like through television. Like, and I feel like that reminds me of, have you ever heard of the show Shameless?
Yes.
Okay, so there's an episode on Shameless that I think it was really funny. Carl, he's one of the characters. He gets, I think, dreadlocks, or no, not dreadlocks. He gets his hair like coiled really tight, and I remember him coming, like the episode starts with him like coming from under the water, and like putting his arms around like a couple girls in the pool, and it was to this random rap song that I had never heard of before. Yeah. And in that song, I had found it on Spotify, and it became like a part of my wrapped up for like the
pump, get you pumped up.
Yeah, and I was just like, that is so funny that I wouldn't have ever been able to see that song or hear that song unless I had watched that show.
You get a lot of stuff in the movies, and that's where a lot of my songs that I get, especially the rap music, has come from movies.
Yeah.
There's one song that I've never been able to find, and I don't know which movie it is, and unfortunately there's like 6 or 7 movies, Fast and Furious, and it's the song that is playing during the credits.
Okay.
And it's not on the frickin' album. I don't know why, but it's not, because I went looking for it, or it's a different version, because sometimes they do that too.
Oh, like same thing with, what's that show? The Wonder Years.
Oh.
The theme song to it in the show sounds different than the actual album. Yeah.
That happened so Gwyneth Paltrow did a movie with Tim McGraw. In the movie, Gwyneth Paltrow sings a song, but on the album, it's Faith Hill. And I think it might have been her song, and I'm like, I don't want Faith Hill's version, I want Gwyneth Paltrow, but you can't get it anywhere.
Even like on YouTube, you couldn't find it?
Well, I haven't looked because it's been a while, but I can't think of the movie, but you would know the movie. I don't know necessarily if maybe you've seen it, but Gwyneth Paltrow ends up killing herself. She's a musician, a country star, and Tim McGraw is her husband and manager, and I think it's a good movie, and I did end up getting the soundtrack because there was a lot of songs in there that I liked, but I happen to think Gwyneth Paltrow has a great voice. I think personally she's anyway. But I like her voice. I think she has a good voice, and I liked the songs that she sang in that. But that one song that was my absolute favorite on the album is frickin' Faith Hill. I was livid. I'm like, what the fuck? Sorry. And yeah, a lot of the music I end up liking here in movies. What is it? Oh my God, with Will Smith and Robbie. What's her name? Who did Barbie? What's her name? Margot Robbie.
Margot
Robbie. She was in this movie with him, but she had the pigtails and the makeup. Forget her character name. It was before the Avengers. Suicide Squad. That's the movie. Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
So they're kind of part of the Avengers, but not really. Or Marvel.
They're DC.
DC, thank you.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I really liked a lot of the songs in there.
That movie had a great soundtrack.
It did have a great soundtrack, so I ended up getting the soundtrack, and I was very happy. But one of my most favorite songs that was in that movie was Purple Lamborghini, right? But that was popular. A lot of people liked that song. And then from there, sometimes what happens is I might check out, and if I like their song really a lot, and it's in a movie, so they're on the soundtrack, and it's just one of their songs, I might go, well, let's see what else they have.
Okay.
But 9 times out of 10, there's nothing really that hits me the way that one song did, which I find unusual because I don't know if it's the movie that I have connected with that song and I like it because of the movie and I'm seeing it in the movie and listening to it at the same time, or do I really just like that song? I mean, I think it's just, I really just like that song because when I'm in schools and I work and they have music playing, every once in a while I'd be like, ooh, what's this song? And I would have to go find an interpreter who was really good with music. I'm like, what's this song? Hurry up, what's this song? Before it goes, because I won't be able to repeat it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know what I like, and I guess I'm the same with music.
So now that we've figured out that relationship that you have with music, why don't, I give everybody a chance to kind of say whatever they think is important for the world to know, just based on, your life experiences, whether it be like a quote or like a message that you live by. Like, is there something that you'd like to say to everyone?
Don't judge. And I think that is important. Because you don't, especially in today's society, you don't really know what anybody has really experienced outside of the moment that you're seeing them in. And it could be their worst moment in their life and you're judging them. I think for me, what has served me well is staying in your own lane. mind your business. If it doesn't pertain to you, then stay out of it. And I think nowadays what we see, especially with social media, is people want to know everything that's going on, whether it pertains to you or not. And I think that can get you in trouble. Not just in your personal life with friends and social gatherings that you go to, but in your work life. I think I have found that that very much applies. When you see something going on, whether it's an injustice or somebody's getting something that you're not, you need to stay in your lane. You need to focus on what you need to focus on to get through your day and not worry about so much what other people are doing or what they're not doing. Staying in your lane has been a very big thing for me these past few years.
Can I ask you a follow-up question about that?
Yeah.
So when staying in your lane, did you have past experiences where you got involved and it didn't work out in your favor?
Not necessarily in my favor, but it caused me to put out my energy in a way that I chose not to. So meaning I put a lot of time and effort into something and I would get upset over something.
So you're pretty much like selective in who you tell about what.
Yeah, I'm selective.
Yeah.
But I think too, staying in your lane allows you to not waste your energy on things in your life that you can do nothing about. I can't do anything about, how crooked our government is or the political crap that happens in the work arena. I can't do anything about that, so I'm not going to invest my energy because I can't change it. I'm not going to lose sleep over that.
So pretty much like recognizing what's in your control, not in your control, and doing what you can.
Yeah. I mean, and I know a lot of people would be like, what? We can change the world, but can we? I guess is my... Everybody would have to be on pretty much the same page for things to really change, okay? I know a lot of people say, oh, we're a democracy. Okay, but America really isn't a democracy. America is a federalist republic, more so. So I think the country and I think people in general are so divided.
Like this is your safest bet?
Safest bet to keep my sanity, because the most important thing in the world to me is my four walls. What's happening in my home with my husband and my children. That's the most important thing. And then what's after that is my extended family, my sister, my brother, my parents, my brother-in-laws, my nieces, my nephews. That's my extended family, and that comes second, right? And after that is, the close friendships that you have and maintaining those. And after that, is extra. And if I have extra, I'm more than willing to give it. But sometimes I don't. So my most important thing in my life is my four walls and staying in my lane.
Well, it sounds like you have a pretty good balance on everything that you know and want.
Right now I do, yeah. I think it took me a while to get here because I think you still are learning. I mean, in my 20s and 30s, you're just kind of going through your days like what you do, and there's nothing wrong with that. I did it, your mom did it, everybody did it. You go through and you're kind of learning how the world works and how it functions, and sometimes you learn from those mistakes and sometimes you don't. And I think when you get out of your 20s and you get into your 30s, you start to learn some of those things. You start to learn from your mistakes. And then you realize who you are and what you want, and you may settle down, you may not settle down. Whatever you do is you. And then your 40s, you start to really do what you like to do. But you still care about what other people think, meaning not what you're doing, but you don't want their feelings to be hurt because I'm choosing me over them, right? So you navigate that relationship a little bit differently. In your 50s, I'm learning I don't care what anybody thinks about what I do or when I do it or who I do it with, but I'm going to respect your opinion in not liking what I do or who I'm doing it with or when I do it. I respect that, but my focus has never changed. It's always been my four walls. And I think as I got older, each stage of my life, the four walls became more and more important, and the people who were outside not became less important, but more of, I will get to you, but I have to take care of this first, right? Because that's most important. So... And I think not forgetting that too. Not forgetting that you told somebody to do something and you need to follow through with it. So.
Well, those are all good points, and I think that, a lot of people will be able to relate to it, especially because we all need guidance.
Oh, yeah.
And you might not get it from me or from you or from the person down the street, but you might get it from one of these random episodes that I have. I'm really grateful that you came on my show and
this is fun.
And talked about what you think.
I'm surprised you pulled out of me a lot more than I thought you'd be able to pull out of me, Alex. Good job.
I love you.
And I love you too, buddy.
And to all the listeners out there, to wherever you are, I wish you happiness and good health, and we'll see you next episode.